Good morning, Facebook. How is everybody today on this beautiful Thursday morning, 7 o'clock? Hopefully, everyone's doing well. And I know I am. I'm not used to getting up this early in the morning, but we have finally been able to get everybody together today so that we could talk about this subject of the Back to Blue cruise that occurred last Sunday and everything afterwards. It's been a whirlwind for sure. And all the players have been busy all week and ever since. Before the event and now since. We've been spending a lot of time trying to combat all the negative publicity that's been going on surrounding the rest stop halfway through the point. So without any more fluff, I'm going to go ahead and start introducing you to my panel. These are the players, the key players that put together the event, that whose tireless efforts and work was able to make this great event happen. And we're here to make sure that it was for the good, the way that it was intended, and not the negativity that's been surrounding it. And it's about time that our voices get heard as well. So let me bring them in. Good morning, men. Can you hear me? There we go. I unmuted you, so now we could hear each other.
Oh, okay. Good morning.
All right. Good morning. So here in the middle, we've got Nathan Abrams, and over to the right, we've got Adam. Adam, good morning. Adam Renfro. And Nathan and I have been talking all week long, getting all of these details put together and getting our facts straight. And I know that there's a lot of people that are wanting to know what exactly happened. So let me start off by asking you, Nathan, how did you, who are you, by the way? How did you, what gives you a heart for this? And tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I'm the youngest of four boys in my family. Come from a very loving, conservative Christian home that is also a military home. My granddad was a Marine. He served in World War II, Vietnam, and Korea. He was an amazing man. And my dad was Air Force, is retired now. He'd been retired for many years. My brother, Michael, is Army. He's been in for almost 27 years now. And then I have a cousin that's been in the Navy for over 15, maybe somewhere between 15 to 20 years. So, this whole thing, growing up in the military family, knowing what it is to wear a uniform, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. The tough times, the good times, everything in between. And with, growing up, when back in the 80s and 90s, I was taught that the police were someone to befriend. They were your buddy. They were your community buddy. You could reach out to them. You'd see them driving down your neighborhood and wave at them. They would stop and talk with you. That's the kind of environment that I grew up in. And so
that's exactly the way I grew up as well.
Okay, good. It's kind of, nowadays people are like, wow, really? That's how it was? Yes, that's how it was, because I've actually talked to some people that are, that grew up, that were born in the 90s or even the 2000s that are like, really? You're friends with the police? Yeah, dude. Like, that's how it was. They would, like the old pictures that showed, the cops and firemen helping get a cat out of a tree. Yes, that kind of stuff happened. You don't hear that much anymore these days, but we were a community. They were our neighbors. They were our family. They were supporters of our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so, now, fast forwarding, 40 some odd years for me, it's sad to see that our police are so dehumanized and so vilified in our communities. And I understand, there's a lot of conflict and a lot of things that have led up to where it is, over many years of conflict between certain communities. And you know, are police perfect? No, they're humans just like you and I. They make mistakes. They deal with happiness, fear, anger, resentment. They deal with the same emotions that you and I deal with on a daily basis. And they're not robots. They don't always get everything right. And there are also good police officers, and then there's some that do not have a very good intent, that are out for, they may have been bullied in high school and such, and so now they use the badge as an opportunity to maybe get back at those that bullied them in some way. But the main thing that this whole message that I wanted to portray in the Back to Blue Cruise is that in this current climate that we're in, even though that, yes, there may need to be reform done in our police departments and better training and better equipment and everything. I was talking with my brother that is in the Army. I was talking with him yesterday, and he's talking about when George Floyd died, he was on fentanyl. And fentanyl is a respiratory, it arrests your respiratory system.
Mm-hmm.
It paralyzes your muscles around your lungs. And one of the things that he said, and he's in the medical side of things in the Army, so that's why he knows these things. But he said that the one thing you do not do with somebody on fentanyl is, one, lay them on their stomach, because chances are they will die on their own. Mm. So even though that the officer that had his knee on his neck should not have done that at all, part of the problem was that the officers just didn't know how to handle somebody on fentanyl at all. They didn't know what to do with him. So there are things that the police departments can do to train their officers to have better handle situations. So, and all that aside, this event that we did was because our officers have been so demonized, and they aren't even considered to be human in a way. They aren't considered to be part of our community anymore. It's become a us versus them thing.
Okay, so I could see where your heart is. Definitely passion at 7 o'clock in the morning, especially for just rolling out of bed.
Oh, I'm still in bed. All I did was roll over and turn on my lamp.
Okay, well, I also want to bring in Adam, and the two of you met through this event, and I'd like for Adam to tell us who he is, and so that we kind of know who the players are and how we came to be where we're at now. So good morning, Adam.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. So tell me, how did you get involved in this?
It all started, I was just, you're on Facebook and you see all these videos of these cops, these officers getting spit on. They're being belittled in the streets. They're being, black officers being called a disgrace to their race. They're being murdered. And really what was my set off point was the two McAllen officers that were killed, basically just murdered. And it lit a fire in me, and I wanted to do something to give back. I didn't really think it was going to get this big. I I put up a page and I set up an event, starting out of, my hometown in Carrollton, and over here in Maverick Harley Davidson is where I was actually going to start. And I posted it to a page, or to a group page, and it just lit like wildfire and just got spread and shared, and it just went crazy. So
I know nothing of what you talk about with that. I'm kidding.
I mean, it was a good thing. It was amazing to see. I was like, oh my God, there's people out there that actually still care. And that made me feel really good to know that. So Rebecca Sparks, she reached out to me, because I mean, within 2 days I had like almost 100 people, like 80 people wanting to go. So she reached out to me, and she asked if I could switch my date, because I had it for the day before, and we switched it to the next day so that way we could put our groups together.
May I real quick? One of the craziest things that I found when Rebecca shared this whole thing, like shared your event with us, is that your route and our route was almost completely identical.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what?
Starting point.
Yeah. What is the possibility that our routes are almost completely identical?
Right.
And is so what everybody may not know is that Adam sort of represents the biker piece of this, and you are in a Ram truck club. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in the Texas Ram Club.
Okay, so because of that, somehow or another, the two of you ended up joining forces and doing this together, right? And at what point did Adam, your ride, and Nathan, your cruise, end up being joined? You didn't know each other before this.
No, not at all. Like Adam said, Rebecca invited him, because Rebecca shared, she said, have you seen this? And I'm like, wait, what? They're doing it right the day before, right before us. and they have the same exact route. I'm like, did they cheat?
So is Rebecca in the Ram Club?
No, ma'am. Rebecca Sparks, a sweet lady. She, when COVID-19 started, the shutdowns and all that, she's affiliated with the Jeeps. Not necessarily, she's not necessarily tied to one Jeep club, but she just is in the Jeep community. I know that she has ties with North Texas Jeep Club and all that. But she started a group called the DFW Birthday Parade Group, so that she could bring people from all walks of life and whoever wanted to be a part of it to go and do birthday parade for little kids, because they couldn't have birthday parties. And that I got connected with her because I'm trying to remember. Like, friends of mine, were like, "Hey, have you seen this birthday parade thing? Like, that'd be cool to do." It was people in our club, because in North Texas Jeep, or I'm sorry, in Texas Ram Club, the DFW chapter, I am the director of events for that chapter. So people brought the idea to me to join with the birthday parade group because it was a good cause. And that's how we got connected with Rebecca, and that's how she ended up in all of this.
Okay, so in come the players. We've got a Mustang club, a Jeep club, a Ram club, and motorcycle clubs that all came together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
and a Camaro club.
And a Camaro club. Okay, I saw a lot of vintage cars towards the front of the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And that, speaking of which, so the parking lot was pretty darn full. So I've got a couple of pictures here of just some pictures of the parking lot where we were staged.
Yeah.
So no doubt there was a lot of participation. And in the short amount of time that took place in planning this and putting it together. I think it got bigger and bigger than anybody really expected it to. Is that a fair statement
Oh yeah,
for everybody?
very much so. Because when we started it on our end, it was a very humble beginning because it was just going to be my truck club and the birthday parade group. That's all it was going to be. And oh, that's an awesome picture right there. But when we decided to get the North Texas Jeep Club involved, and then also then go public with the event to allow anyone to be a part of it, it exploded. Like it was just there was no every minute I would click back on, I'd click off the event and click back on, and we had gained 50 more members. Like it was just it was growing exponentially by the day.
Yes,
And
it was.
I was like, at one point I was like, guys, what did we do? I mean, we created a monster.
What have we gotten ourselves into?
Right?
On the motorcycle end of things, I can tell you that I'm a member of a lot of different Facebook groups that are motorcycle related, just like Adam, and we would see rides pop up. They were rides that were being put together to ride over to the staging area. So
Right.
we were seeing, and it was getting confusing because there were so many of them. And they had names that were close, Back the Blue, Gathering to Fort Worth, or this. Everybody had a different name, but it was all surrounding this particular event, which became very apparent when we all showed up. So, we had all sorts of walks of life there.
Oh yeah.
Like we were saying, how did you end up picking the area where we were staging?
Well, for me, it was pretty obvious because one, Pennington Field in Bedford. Bedford is my hometown. I grew up there. I went to LD Bell High School. I knew Pennington Field very well, and I knew how huge that parking lot is, and also how close it is to the highway. Everything that I planned with this event, I wanted to make it easy on anybody that attended the event as possible. Like that was my heart's desire with this, because I knew the difficulties that we would face trying to get on and off the freeway. And so Pennington Field was a perfect location, in my opinion. And it's not just my opinion. We all voted on it, and we all decided, okay, yeah. And that was before Adam got involved. But as he did, he was like, "Wow, okay, yeah, that's awesome." And we worked on even sectioning off the parking lot for different crews. That way, we can organize it and stage it the way that in a safe way, to where we're not stepping over each other, we're not running over each other. We had 3 different exits for for the different clubs and general attendees, and that way, the bikers had their own entrance to the parking lot. That way, they're not having to. Hopefully, I didn't get to work the entrances, but from what I heard, that things did get backed up, but it kept people safe from each other because they weren't running over each other. They weren't having to deal with each other.
Absolutely. So, I know
that's why I picked that.
Okay. Absolutely. It was a great spot. It ended up filling up the parking lot just the right way. So I got on my bike and had someone on the back that was filming. We went down row by row, and we saw how well organized everything was. It started off in the front with the cars, and then the trucks, then the Jeeps, and then the motorcycles. It was really well organized. So, okay, so we've got the background, and Adam, you're there. You've got your groups, and I know that you were going crazy in there, Nathan, trying to keep everybody together and getting started. Now, the interesting thing was that a lot of people had questions about is that there weren't a lot of police officers at the event. we saw a couple, and I stopped and talked to them, and we weren't escorted, which was kind of unusual. So there were people that were asking about that. Can either one of you address why we weren't escorted?
Yes, ma'am. So when we got the authorization to use Bedford PD, I'm sorry, the Pennington Field, we did reach out to Bedford PD as well, and they did agree to help us get on the highway. They were limited on the officers that they could use because one, the time of the morning, and just I guess other things they needed to make sure that they had their patrols areas taken care of. Rebecca Sparks is the one that handled that side of things. But every for me, the buck stops with me. For me, I just take responsibility for everything because that's just the way I am. That's the way I was raised. My dad always taught us that, if we put our name on it, we take responsibility for it. That's just how we do it.
Well, you need to let yourself off the hook on some of that. I know you've been beating yourself up, but also, as Adam said, no one expected to have as many vehicles show up as did. So in hindsight, on the next ride, we'll make sure that we have all of those bases covered.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
We did have some police assistance, but I think there was a breakdown of exactly what we needed, because it wasn't until after the event ended that I got the full scope of what happened. They were letting a certain amount of our vehicles through, and then they would cut them off and allow traffic to continue outside of the parking lot, and then they would
Right.
stop.
That's as we were first taking off.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we were just basically on our own, from what I
Yes.
from what I gathered.
That's
And
absolutely correct, and it caused a what we call a slinky effect, where
exactly.
we had the line, and it was we would gather and slam on brakes, and then people would start to take off, and we'd have a big gap between us, and cars were getting in between us, and it was a cluster.
Yes, it was.
So I don't have a picture, and I forgot to do that, but Adam, why don't you tell us about the route? What was the final route?
We were supposed to go straight, 183 basically to 635, down to I-20, to the pit stop. So, and then from there, we're gonna take a break, gas up, get some water, and then head straight back down 20 to 820 back over to Pennington Field.
So, how many miles was the route?
About 127 miles.
Yep.
And how long did you allow for that entire loop?
I think we figured it would take about 3 hours with the pit stop.
Yeah, we tried to leave it kind of loose and open. I mean, because I just knew with that, as many vehicles as we had, we could. It was hard to really nail that, how long it would take. I mean, it was between 3 to 4 hours. That's kind of what we gave for it, just in case traffic or whatever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So, and it was pretty hot outside.
Yeah.
I can say that. So what time did we end up taking off?
10 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, at 10 a.m. And you were thinking that we would get to the pit stop at what time?
Well, my my estimate for that would have been about noon. However, when we got authorization to use their parking lot, one of our organizers, Henry Brody, was the one that had contact with the church. The person that scheduled it with them, the groundskeeper there, said that they were going to allow us to use it from 11 a.m. till noon.
Okay, and so and that pit stop was at Friendship West Baptist Church.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yeah. And that is really, that's unfortunately where everything fell apart. So we're rolling along and doing the slinky on the highways and, trying to keep safe and go forward. And thank goodness everybody did stay safe. As far as I know, there weren't any incidences. And so,
Jojo, can I
right?
speak to you mentioned a little bit ago, you asked about why there weren't any escorts. We did have police departments that were there were some that were definitely in plain clothes that came either as civilians or just to make sure that the integrity of the event was held up. As far as escorts, we were supposed to have on the Dallas end, we were supposed to have actual escort from DPD. We had secured that, and then 2 days before the actual event, they pulled out. They said, "Nope, sorry guys, we can't do this." And they were supposed to help us off the highway at Polk in 20, and then help us back on the highway afterwards. And that is a reason for the cluster there that happened. And that's why I personally had to. We had some people that they do the police rodeos on motorcycles. They also, from what I understand, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I could be wrong. They also do funeral processions, if I have that correct. So they have experience with escorts, and it was 2 motorcycles, and they were trying to do their best to help keep up with everything. But the convoy was so split up that they couldn't escort it the way that they know how, and it was just such a large convoy. It's just they're not used to that with just 2 bikes. So, when we exited Polk, I brought it upon myself to put my truck diagonal at the exit on the access road to let as many, because we had a ton of bikes that were coming right behind us. I tried my best to block traffic for them. I had some very not happy drivers that are on the access road behind me. One guy almost tried to, if you can't dodge it, ram it. They tried to ram my truck at one point. So it was a very hectic and kind of scary situation there for a moment.
Well, I'll also say that bikers are used to that as well, and we especially try to stay together in groups without because there's a strength in numbers, or we're going to be seen when we're all gathered together. If you have a large group and then you have a few stragglers, those stragglers are more likely to get hit because people are focusing on that large group and they don't see those 2 or 3 or 4 bikes that are by themselves, and they get cut off and get hit. So as biker groups, we're used to blocking for ourselves. So we have road captains in our groups, and we have blockers. And I can tell you for sure that within the groups, people were cutting traffic on off ramps and on ramps so that people wouldn't come and smash into the bikes, or cut off. And so we had a lot of that self organizing going on. I don't want to call it policing, but we had our own blockers and we had our own road captains and things. So we're walking through the morning events, and we get to right before our pit stop, we pull into a gas station. And it's just a regular gas station, certainly not equipped to hold all the vehicles, but we flooded that gas station.
We made it happen somehow.
Made it happen somehow. And a lot of us, including myself, I was overheated for sure. And the stress of the ride, because it was pretty darn stressful. I ended up taking a piece of shade under one of the trees by the Sonic and just getting cooled down and getting, I think I was on the verge of a heat stroke, truthfully. I had chills. It was rough. So the group of us, we decided that we weren't going to go forward and go to the church. Even though we were just, I think it was 3 miles from the church, we decided that that was our rest stop, and we stayed until most everybody left the parking lot. So walk us through from there. We were there and we were a little bit late. That's something that I wanted to bring up. And this is something that we hadn't discussed yet, but you had a communication mode so that anybody that was a part of this could be in the communications, and that was on this Zello app.
Right.
And I know that you had put out there for everyone to tune in to Zello, and so we could hear what was going on. And we had permission to be at the church at certain hours. So then we had Mr. Brody call ahead to let them know that we were going to be late.
Yes, ma'am.
And so he put out, everybody could hear it, and I've got a clip of that exact result. Hold on just a second so I can play it for everyone.
Just got approval for the whole parking lot at the rest area at Friendship West, and it got extended another 45 minutes. So we got to be out the parking lot by 12:45.
Okay, so we don't hear his conversation with who he talked to there at Friendship West, but we do have confirmation, and so does everyone that's tuned into this. So we know that we're being respectful of their time, and they had an event going on that afternoon. Little did we know. So that's why they had a certain time frame that we had to be there, and we did gain permission. So as not me, but as the rest of the group showed up to the parking lot, why don't you walk us through from there? The groundskeeper saw us and opened the gates because they have a gated parking lot.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna share my part of that and let Adam give his viewpoint of that moment as well. But I also want to say real quick to the biker community. I was, my dad, he also loved to ride bikes as well, growing up, and in a church that my parents moved to when I was probably about 17 or 18 years old. They had a motorcycle group in there called Covenant Rider. It was a Christian group, and they my dad, he taught me what it was like to be a part of a crew, and I learned that in the community, I learned a lot from my dad about the biker community, about the respect and the camaraderie and the love that is in the biker community, and the integrity that is in the biker community. And so I do want to make it very clear that none of that is lost on me. And when I heard of the reports of what happened in the convoy, the Slinky effects and everything, even to the I don't know if it was 1 or 2 accidents that happened. I know for sure of one that happened where a gentleman lost control of his motorcycle and laid it down. But from what I understood, he people stopped to help him, and he was able to get back up on his bike and keep going. I don't know if that was the correct last part of the information. He did stay in the convoy.
There were 2 incidents. That's what I wanted to touch on earlier. Sorry, I didn't want to cut anybody off, but there were.
No, you're good.
One gentleman, he lost. He went a little squirrely on the back end. I think then he hit a oil spot, and his rear tire came out from underneath him. But
this is the first I heard of it. I didn't know that.
Right, I know. A lot of people didn't. He was towards the back of the pack, so I think a truck stopped, and a couple bikers stopped to help him. But he basically just had like a scraped elbow. He picked up his bike and he joined back in the cruise. And then there was one other one that I think he rear-ended one of the Dodges, and Minimal damage. He was fine. He wasn't even hurt at all. Everybody came out pretty much unscathed.
Right.
That's
And
good.
I know I talked to one of my really good friends that I've known for the better part of 10 years. He rides a motorcycle, and he's used to riding in a lot of these big events with a lot of bikers, and he said, Nathan, this is the most dangerous convoy that I've been in years. Because that he was at points we were pushing well over 90 to 100 miles an hour to try to catch up with the convoy, and then having to lock up our brakes because it just bam,
Absolutely.
that whole slinky effect that you mentioned earlier. And it's only been within the past few days that with juggling the radio interviews and all that junk, that it's only been in the past few days that I've been hearing the reports of that and how truly dangerous that was. And I want to reach out to all of you in the biker community and just say, guys, I'm from the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry. That was not my intent to put any of y'all in harm's way, whether it be on the highway or what happened at Friendship West or in any in the surrounding area. Any kind of altercations that y'all incurred, whether it be in traffic or whatever, just anything that happened during the event that was negative. That was not my heart's intent. That wasn't, or any of us that organized this event. That wasn't our heart. Our heart was for all of us to come together as one and to show love for our law enforcement. And like the past few days have just been a complete emotional roller coaster, to be honest, because the whole reason behind this event has been dragged through the mud because of everything, of the negative parts that have happened, and I hate that anybody was affected by what happened.
Nathan, nobody. What was I going to say? Nobody questions your intent on this ride, man. Everybody knows where your heart was putting this together, so nobody questions that.
Well, actually, there are some questions about that, and we did kind of skip through it, but how did we choose our stopping point? How is it that we came up with Friendship Baptist Church, that is a predominantly Black church, that was holding a Black Lives Matter rally that very same afternoon? How did we happen to pick that church as our stopping point for a Back the Blue ride?
So us as organizers, we had weekly and sometimes even daily conference calls to try to figure all of that out, because we knew with as long of a route as it is, we needed a pit stop. We had to have a regrouping point. And so we would we'd get on these phone calls and we'd get on Google Earth and look at the satellite view of I-20, because that's where we halfway, somewhere in that halfway point, we wanted to find a big parking lot that was as close to the highway as possible, that that either had direct highway access or as close to it as possible. So the church was one of several places that we were looking at. There was also Kincaid Stadium, the Parks Mall, and the GM Financial Building. And either, I know that the GM Financial Building said no. The Kincaid Stadium, they have a COVID testing site there, so they couldn't open it to us. And then the Parks Mall, we never even heard back from. We actually reached out to the Arlington Police Department, and they were trying to assist us in any way they could, and they were trying to reach out to the mall, and they never got response back either. So then Brody went up to the church. I need to clear something up if anybody had heard it, that Brody had originally called up to the church. That's what I thought had happened, and that was my mistake. He actually physically went up to the church the first time. There's only one time that he went up there, and he talked with a pastor by the name of Reverend James Fitzgerald. And he told him what we were about. He told him, he gave him a card for our truck club, said what we were doing, and we just needed a place to rest and regroup, and then we would be on our way. It's not like we were coming there to have a rally or hang out and party or anything. It was just for us to regroup, rest, and then be right back on the road. He then gave the contact info of their groundskeeper / operations manager of the facility to be our point of contact from then on. And that's where we scheduled our time slot to be there that morning.
Can I
Okay.
clarify some things on that, because some things have come to light as far as the steps that went along there. I know you guys reached out to several different locations. A lot of them declined. Friendship West being one of them, that they initially declined the invite, and then on, I believe it was the 29th is whenever they called Henry Brody, and it was Reverend Fitzgerald called Henry Brody to see if we can get a they can get a face-to-face meeting. Sorry, I've got kids here. So that was it.
Okay. Well, that was
Okay.
no, Adam. I from when I talked to Brody about when I first made that statement, he said no. That he only went up there that one time. So I think that was just a misunderstanding on my point or on my part.
Right. I know he went up there one time, but my point was that the church initially declined and then changed their mind for whatever reason.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's a fact that we're not exactly sure of. Henry Brody, unfortunately, is not available to talk to, and I'm not quite sure why. Have either of you heard from him recently?
I have not.
I did speak to him by text briefly yesterday. It has been kind of difficult to talk to him past few days or get a direct answer on some things from him. I don't know whether it's just because he's being pulled about a million different directions. Because I know that he's been in the firing squad just as much as I have the past several days because he was the main contact for that church.
And he was on all the news channels. He was seen there, and he was on a lot of videos, a lot of homemade videos too, walking around the park. So that's the setup. We've got permission to be there at a certain time, and we're given that permission, and then we were running a little bit late, so Brody called ahead and told them, and we got permission for that as well. Is that a good enough setup for how we ended up there? We've established how we chose the church. Henry Brody had some sort of an affiliation or had an affiliation with the church at some time before and felt comfortable with going and talking to them to see if we could use the parking lot.
I'm not sure how much of an affiliation that he had. I know that he goes to a church with the acronym of IBOC that's down the street from there, or close by in any way. From what I understand, I guess he at one point attended a birthday party at that church at some point. But as far as his actual affiliation or knowing really anybody from that church, I honestly don't know.
Okay. Well, he went there. He made a contact with Reverend Fitzgerald and was given permission, and then also called and let them know that we were running late and we were given permission to run a little bit late. So the convoy shows up, and the groundskeeper, who was the point of contact, unlock the gates and take it from there, guys.
Well, real quick, also, I know that there's probably going to be some people that are going, Nathan, your story changed, and now the reason why is because this has been a very fluid situation of finding out information. As far as things that I thought were the case, and that I had previously said on different interviews, since I had found out, okay, that's not necessarily the truth. So I want to make sure that the truth of exactly what happened actually gets out there. And so if there's something that I've said in this interview that is different from past interviews, that's the reason why. It's not because I'm flip-flopping on my info or trying to cover any butts or anything. It's only because the information that I thought I knew was actually different. So that's the reason for any of that. So I just want to clarify that. So anyways, after I get done blocking traffic off the highway, I try to, within reason, haul booty to the church parking lot. I pulled in, to see, a bunch of cars already getting there, and I get parked, and then I relieve one of our guys from the truck club who's helping direct traffic into the parking lot. I relieve him so he could go take a break, and I'm helping, direct people around the parking lot to go park. And a pastor from the church, I really wish I remembered his name, but he pulled up to me exiting the church. He stopped and he said, "Sir, I just want to say, I really appreciate, what you are doing. I believe in what your message is." And I shook his hand and I said, "Thank you, sir. We appreciate you letting us use your parking lot. Thank you very much." And he drove off, and that was my positive moment for that situation, because I was like, dude, that, my whole thing when we picked and when we got Friendship West, I told y'all earlier that I grew up in a Christian home. When we got a church, I was like, dude, that is awesome. A church is opening up their parking lot to our message and what we're trying to do. They're standing with their community. And that's the way I viewed it. Because to me, a church is a place of sanctuary, a place of peace, a place of hope, a place of love. Never at any point when we were organizing all this and planning this, did any of us, honestly, none of us questioned it. It wasn't just me. None of us questioned that a church would be a place where we would find opposition. Not at one single moment did we go, should we really do a background check on this church? They didn't even come up in conversation because it's a church.
Right.
And so, so that pastor, that I met, he drove off, and I continued helping to organize the traffic. And that's when both a Silverado that had a Trump flag on it and a Jeep that had a rebel flag on it pulled in. I got the attention of some of our organizers that were standing by, one of them being Henry Brody. And I said, "Hey guys, could somebody get on to them?" And at the rally point, we had made very clear that there was to be no political flags whatsoever. No Trump flags, no Biden flags, and definitely no rebel flags, because we know what kind of controversy those flags cause. And so,
we said it.
Even at the staging area, a bunch of us, we walked the parking lot in the car area, making sure we didn't see any of those flags. And we actually talked to the guy that had the Trump flag, and we asked him to take it down, and he did at the staging area. But somehow between there and the church, it got put back up on his truck. And so anyways, we addressed the Jeep at the church, And from what Henry Brody, it was Henry Brody, and I think Rebecca Sparks was with him when he confronted them and said, "Hey guys, no, can't have the rebel flag. Either take it down or you need to exit the parking lot and exit the convoy." That Jeep decided to just exit the convoy altogether. So once we found them, we definitely took care of that situation. But by then, it had already been too late. They had been videoed or photoed by parishioners of the church, I believe, and there was no trying to fix the situation by then, because by then Pastor Haynes had come out to the parking lot, and he was getting in our organizers' faces, yelling at them, saying, we did not authorize this. This is not what we had. There was a very peculiar line that he said. He goes, "This is not what we had agreed upon." I was like, so his statement that he first had of not knowing about this event, well, yes, you did, because you just said that this is not what we had agreed upon. So you absolutely knew about something. So it's not that you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, apparently either you had misinformation or something nefarious has happened with booking us to use that as a pit stop.
Mm-hmm. And that's the question everybody has, is it was just so odd that we were given permission, and then when we show up there, if you look at some of the videos of Pastor Haynes being so indignant and stomping in, you see Brody running alongside him in the Channel 8 video of the event. You see Brody running beside him, saying, "We had permission for this," and he said, "What we?" And he said, "No, you didn't." He said something to that effect, and Brody said, "You need to speak to your staff," and he was dismissed and wasn't allowed to say anything else. He was trying to keep up with them, but at that point, he was saying, "No, there was no permission." And there's someone else was running alongside the pastor, kind of egging him on. Said, "Did you know about this?" He said, "No, I didn't." And in fact, he said, "What do you think?" Was that the reporter?
That was a reporter from I believe NBC.
Okay, so reporters were there already, which is kind of interesting.
Yes. Well, the NBC guy, he initially was on one of the bridges on 635. He was filming us as we went down the highway, which is kind of interesting because I have yet to see any of that footage on any of their broadcast, which is, I saw him as we passed under the bridge. He had his camera and he was filming us. So I haven't seen any of that footage in any of their news stories. So, but yeah, he ended up jumping in his vehicle and then meeting us there at the church. And by the time he got there, it was right before Pastor Haynes came out. It was, just like a minute or so before Pastor Haynes came out. He had opened the back of his vehicle trying to get his camera out, and that's when Pastor Haynes came out. But the other interesting thing is there was some sort of political representative that was there. I don't know his name, or
Eric Williams.
Eric Williams. Okay, thank you. That's the part that I haven't had the chance to dive into because I've been dealing with everything else. But apparently this gentleman by the name of Eric Williams was there and had a camera with him, had a cameraman, and it wasn't just a little camera. No, it was a cinema type camera. I actually saw it at one point, and he was filming, talking. He was talking with the pastor, and he was filming different things in the parking lot. And I was like, wait a second, something's up with this, but we, at the same time, I made the call over the radio. I was like, hey guys, everyone in the convoy, get in your vehicles or get on your motorcycles. We need to get out of here now. And
Mhm.
so we all jumped in our vehicles, and we exited that parking lot as quick as we could. Along the way, there were parishioners as we exited along the street, holding up fists, flipping people off. I heard the accounts of sodas being thrown or stuff being thrown at people driving by as we were trying to exit.
Chased down the highway.
Yeah, and then there was a poor girl that came out of state to join us for this convoy. She had her daughter in her Jeep, and a car pretty much ran her off the road. Is that correct, Adam? I don't know that. I haven't heard the very fine details of it. If you want to share that part, please.
As far as I know, they were driving. They were trying to drive away. She came from Missouri or Minnesota. Not 100%, but I know she had a gun pulled on her with her daughter in the car, and it was pretty tragic for her. I mean, it was pretty. She was pretty hurt by it. And then another friend of mine, they were going down I-20, and she was approached by another vehicle coming up alongside her, and it kept trying to kind of push her over. Of course, she was in a giant Suburban, so it didn't really affect her. But yeah, that was another incident that I know of, along with the many death threats afterwards.
Yeah, I also know of other people in Jeeps that were chased down the highway by either people from the neighborhood or parishioners of the church, and they were honking going on, trying to cut them off on the highway, and these Jeeps were trying their best to speed and catch up with the convoy, which is very difficult in a Jeep, just because, especially a lot of them that are lifted with big tires, because there's something that happens after you're going so fast in those that's called the death roll or something. I'm saying that wrong. I know I'm saying it wrong, but basically the tires start to bounce. Yeah, the tires start to bounce, and it starts to shake the Jeep really violently, and it becomes dangerous. And so they were trying to do their best to speed, but be safe to catch up with the convoy. And yeah, since then there have been threats to people that have attended the event, whether it be we have a lady in the truck club that she stopped at a Walgreens, walked out of Walgreens, and there was a note underneath her windshield wiper that said, "We know where you live." And then one of our guys, Greg Johnson, his truck was featured like front and center on the Channel 5 broadcast of the whatever, and his license plate was in plain view. And he has had people driving up and down his street very slowly, people parking down the street from his house, people pulling up in his driveway and flashing their brights. They're flashing their brights at his house, and just being intimidating at where he lives. And there's just more, like even up in Tennessee and out in California, people that are driving Jeeps being tried to be run off the road by people. And this whole story has gone national. I've heard of it being aired in New York and all kinds of places. So people that are just not even affiliated with us, that just drive a Jeep or drive a Ram or even a motorcycle, are being targeted now because this pastor went on record, on video, saying, "We coming for you." And so now whether it be the neighborhood around there or parishioners from his church have gone out seeking out those of us that can be found, and have been harassing people. And it's become very dangerous and very very scary, to be honest.
Well, as you can see, I put up on the screen a little screenshot of the pastor, and look how many views. This was at the time that the screenshot was done. Look at the amount of views that he's actually gotten just in his comment. White supremacist. I mean,
Right.
what in the world?
That's what we're being
And
labeled as.
where in the world would he get an idea like that after his staff gave us permission to come and use the parking lot? In fact, I heard people say that as we were pulling in the parking lot and we saw the big Black Lives Matter banner on the church, we thought, isn't this awesome that we're going to have Blue Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter come together and maybe help to form some unity between the two? And why should they be separate? Why can't they be together? And yet this pastor is inciting race in this, number one, calling us the KKK and white supremacists, and yes, goes on television, said, we're coming for you.
Yeah,
and
the one thing,
he's got a Facebook page that let me just finish up my train of thought. His Facebook page for his church is full of hate speech, and it hasn't been taken down, and the people have not been told to stop writing things like that. I watched some homemade Facebook videos from some of the church members or people in the area that were filming out of their windows, showing the people pulling in or out of the parking lot. They were asking for friends and neighbors and family to come down there and get involved and stop these KKK protesters that have shown up at the church. It was made out to be some big sinister plot.
Right. Well, one, I do want to say real quick that the exit that we took, well, the majority of us took, we did not and could not see that big banner that says Black Lives Matter. It was facing the highway. And so I was very unaware of it. All of us were the majority of us were very unaware of it until the moment when we left the church and went back the way we came up Polk. And got on the access road to get on the highway, and all of a sudden, bam, there it is in all of its glory. There's that banner. And I was like, oh my God, like my heart sank. And I felt like I was going to be ill. Like I felt like I was going to have to pull over the side of the road and throw up, because I was like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. And so, but yeah, like it just, I'm almost at a loss for words for all of this. There have been, and I'm kind of torn because I'm being told, and there are reports coming out that this was a setup. But until we have all the facts, because I don't want to just approach this with hearsay, because that's where you get into more trouble. But there are some reports coming out now that this was a complete setup, that they knew who we were, they knew that we were coming. But again, I do not want to. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have put that out there, but there was just the idea that was the case. I would hope not, because just because I just hope that, I don't know. I try to believe the best of everything, but unfortunately, the situation is what it is now, and my heart for this all is to find a very peaceful end to all this, and to let us all go back to our lives, because people have lost their jobs. me included, because in a roundabout way, they didn't fire me, but I was going to have to take a sabbatical from work because of this situation, and I couldn't afford to do that, so I had to get a new job. And there's others that their jobs are being threatened. People are showing up to people's jobs, calling them out, trying to harass them at their work. And it's just, I just want it all to stop. I want us to find whether we open up a dialogue and we find a peaceful end to this, or it just all dies down and the news cycle moves on to the next thing. Either way, I want it to end.
Yeah, me too.
I'm seeing a question by Julie. Is it possible that the banner had been placed there that weekend for the church to host a rally, or the church was hosting a rally? It possibly could have been. I have no idea how long that banner had been placed there. We have no idea, because when I spoke to Henry Brody about when he went up to the church and everything, I mean, he has been absolutely grilled. I mean, not just by me, but by the community, all the attendees. He was in Facebook group chats with us, and people were just machine gunning questions at him, questioning him about everything, questioning even his integrity of all of this. And he said that he never, at any time when booking this event, did he see the Black Lives Matter banner.
Well, I've been looking through different pictures of the church at different times, and I saw some pictures where there was a very small, what looked like to be a small banner that was on the side of the building. And by the end of all of this, it was front and center, right in the middle. And again, that could be because they had that event going on that afternoon. That could be why that banner moved. But there are pictures, but it's hard to tell from what angle or what side of the building the pictures were taken. But there are pictures where there's no banner at all. And if there was one, it was probably out of the view of the traffic going by, or like you said, that people have been by there numerous times and never saw that banner. So it's possible that it was up somewhere on the church, but not front and center like it was when we got there that day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah. So basically we've gone over our hour, and we'll just have to review this, or people will have to catch up and watch it from the start if they're interested. But hopefully everybody will share this video, host watch parties, get this out, because the pastor of the church has had too many avenues to spew his hate and his continued racism and name calling, and just in general trying to rile everybody up. And this platform today is to show the other side of the story that hasn't been able to get as large of a voice. And I know Knees in the Breeze isn't that large of a voice, but at least it does reach out to the community, to the biker community, which is where we needed to reach out to. And that's why we all got up at the crack acid dawn this morning, so that we could get it done. But everybody, please do their part and share this. Please share this video with everyone, and hold watch parties so it can catch on and people can at least hear this side of the story. In conclusion, the reason for doing this is to bring closure, hopefully, and to stop the madness, and so that people can go on with their lives and not be threatened. I know that this weekend there are a lot of rallies across the country that are back the blue rallies, and I certainly hope that they go off well without people being worried about their safety. I mean, for Pete's sakes, we've been under siege all year, 2020, with our pandemic. We've got an upcoming election, and of course, Black Lives Matter. No one's saying that they don't. this is just ridiculous, the way that things have been divided. It's actually gotten more divided than more unified. I thought we were doing such a great job of bringing people together, but
right. And Jojo, one thing that you just mentioned a second ago, that there are rallies that are being hosted this weekend, but along with that, the Patriot Guard, they are still out there doing what they do with funeral processions. And I heard yesterday of a report that they were attacked at a funeral procession just the other day. Someone tried to run their bikes or something off the road and stuff. And it just, please, guys, like, please stop. Like, have some decency for your fellow humans, and let's stop the hate, stop the bickering, stop the arguing, stop the violence, because none of this is going to get us anywhere. None of that. The only thing that is going to get us anywhere is if we talk, and if there's peace, understanding, love. That is what's going to get us past all of this. That is what's going to make your voices heard. That is what's going to make all of our voices heard if we stand together as one. It says, our nation says, "United we stand," for a reason. It's not just words. It's what our nation is founded on, and we need to get this. We need to get rid of this division. Because without it, a house divided against itself cannot and will not stand.
Cannot stand. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it even says it. United we stand, and divided we fall. It's not, again. It's not just words. Those are it's happening in our nation right now. Because divided, us keeping divided, it's doing no good. It is hurting all of us. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, Muslim, atheist. Doesn't matter what you are. Let's stand together, guys. Enough is enough. Love needs to reign. Understanding needs to reign. And forgiveness needs to reign.
Absolutely. That is absolutely the case. And unfortunately, we've got a crooked pastor, in my opinion, that is using this platform as a way to gain parishioners. But in the meanwhile, he's got a lot of carnage that he's leaving behind, and he's not showing love for his fellow man. He's spreading hate. And what we want to see is Pastor Haynes coming to the forefront after he's done his investigating, which I understand he's just now in the process of doing, after he's spread so much hate and violence and put so many lives in danger. He's now looking into the specifics of it. Hopefully he will take as much energy as he took to spread violence and hate and apologize and show some humility and call off the dog, so to speak, because it is unsafe out there now. Even more so for people. They're looking for an outlet for all of this rage and everything that's going on. People are looking for a way to lash back because of losing jobs over this COVID thing, financial hardships, and mental stress about not knowing what the future is going to bring. And people are afraid of getting the coronavirus and not surviving. There's way too much going on for this pastor to be riling people up over us coming to his parking lot with permission to take a rest. So hopefully he will take his energy and use it for good. And we just want to let everybody know that it is not safe out there, as it hardly ever is, but especially now. Take a look, watch twice, make sure that you know that you're not going to put yourself in harm's way as much as possible. And thank you guys for showing up, and thank you for telling your story again, Nathan. It's going to go a long way, and especially on Facebook, where everybody hopefully will share this video and spread these truths that we were talking about today. And hopefully Pastor Haynes will start being as vocal about standing down as he was about riling up everyone. Do you have anything else to say, Adam? We haven't heard from you in a while.
No. I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I know I've been getting a lot of comments about the ride. A lot of good things have come from it. I think our message, however stained, has gotten out to a lot of the people that are out there in the Jeep community. I think I just got a message the other day about a big group was going down the highway in Fort Worth, and there were some officers radaring from a bridge, and they put down their guns and waved them on through. Thanking them for what they did the other day. So the message has been getting through what our message that was intended, and I want to say that we're also going to be planning something to give back to our community, back to the community that we hurt. So for those that felt hurt by our presence there, we do apologize for that, but we did have a message, and we want to give back.
Yes, I want to be, with that statement. Yeah, Adam had mentioned to me that about reaching out to that community, and I'm wholeheartedly with that event whenever we get that put together.
Yes, and I'm going to help to promote that as well as soon as it comes up. I know I spoke with another Adam last night who is does a lot of charity work and works with the food banks for feeding homeless and things like that. So he called me last night and said he'd been in contact, and that we're planning an event, not a ride, so to speak, but more of an event to give back to this very community that feels so much outrage right now. And I can't wait for that. Keep me in the loop. Okay, guys, have an awesome day, and be safe out there, everybody. Thank you very much for coming on this morning, for getting up so early.
Yeah. Jojo, I wanted to see, I don't know, it's kind of a long clip, but Nathan's speech in the beginning before the ride, it was very powerful, and it shows where his heart was setting this event up. I don't know if we can share that with the people now, or if we can post it in the comments.
Let me see what I can find for us.
Okay. Go ahead, Nathan. What are you going to say?
Oh, no, I was just going to say thank you. I know that it has been since yesterday. I have a very awesome new friend by the name of Chaplain Courtney, an African American gentleman that has come to my side or our side. Well, he's not picking choosing sides, but what I'm saying, he's standing with me through all this. He's been a comfort, a friend, an amazing guy. He actually he heard the speech, and he's like, oh my God, Nathan, you need to make this go viral. Like he was just ecstatic about it. He was like, dude, you need to make this go from corner to corner of the earth, man. He goes, that is powerful. I was
okay,
like, I was just speaking from my heart, man. That's all I knew to do.
Yep.
Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and finish us with that. I think I've got the right clip up. Does that look right, Adam?
I can't really see it.
I think so. Let's see.
It's labeled Nathan Abrams.
All right, I hope everyone can hear me on the Zello app.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately
Can
able to
just somebody
hear
give me a
it,
signal?
but I
Let
know
me know
y'all
they can
can.
hear me. Everybody can hear me? Everyone hear me on the Zello app? All right, all right. One, I want to say thank y'all very much for being here today. This has been a huge undertaking that started off very small. We did not expect it to be this huge when it first started out, but man, here we are. I wanted to give an opportunity for both Henry Brody and Rebecca Sparks to address the crowd. However, they're having a meeting with our patrol officers that are going to help us get out of here. So I'm going to address y'all, and then here in just a couple minutes, I'm going to hand it off to Pastor Joseph Canfield to deliver the prayer for us. But real quick, I kind of wrote a little something down that I wanted to share with all of y'all, so just bear with me. As I look over the sea of blue and red, white, and blue, I'm reminded of what I dreamt this day would look like. I'm reminded of the day that a small group of us did an independence run for July 4th. When we talked about today, the vision I had for this in mind, this is exactly what I saw. I never thought that this would happen, but here we are. It was only a month ago when Henry, Rebecca, and I started planning this. It started off so small, but now look at it. I've been saying all along that this isn't about us, but that's only partly true. It is about the blue, and it is also about us, because without all of you, this would not be possible. Sorry, I'm kind of... yeah, hang on one second. My dream would only be a dream. This took all of us coming together to make this happen. As I look over the sea of flags, I'm reminded of a man who also had a dream of where people from all walks of life came together, no matter their race, religion, political, or economic upbringing. But Martin Luther King didn't just dream. He acted upon that dream. He walked it out. He is known for being part of the civil rights movement, but his dream was so much bigger than that. His dream was for humanity, a humanity that was grounded in faith, hope, and love. Denzel Washington once said, "Dreams without goals are just dreams, and they will ultimately fuel disappointment." I'm going to add to that and say dreams without goals and action. Martin Luther King acted upon his dream, but unfortunately his life was ended too soon. Since then, there have definitely been strides to further his dream. But we as a nation have forgotten that dream. We've let division, anger, hatred, and violence take hold. I believe that if he were here, MLK would weep over what we have become. But hope is not dead. You know why? Because this sea of flags I see before me, and these things remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Each of you is living out Martin Luther King's dream today. This parking lot is full of different skin colors, religion, political ties, lifestyles. And today we bravely come together to honor and support our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, our friends, our parents and children. And yes, even the officer who pulled you over that one time. To be honest, my dream for today began 4 years ago when a man that I got to know was taken too soon from this world. Patrick was one of the 5 officers who were gunned down in downtown Dallas as they were escorting a parade of protesters. His mom is with us today, and I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Your son is why we're here today. Today, we live out dreams. Today, we come together as one. One heart, one voice, with one message. That we are one nation, under God, indivisible. Today, we show our cities, our state, and our nation that we not only support our law enforcement, but we stand with them. Today, we show our nation that united we roll.
You can really hear your heart in your message in that speech. And that's what I want to get out.
I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you, Nathan. We're going to just leave it. We're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
It's been a very emotional week.
Yeah.
And we, people have been texting in and saying how much they appreciate you and that they needed to hear this. And thank you very much. Thanks again, everybody. If again, I'm going to say, if anyone has any questions, then please let us know. We'll be happy to answer any of these. And please make this video go viral. Send it out. Please hold watch parties so that everyone can get this message. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go for now. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Okay.
Nathan's been through a lot this week. He really has, and he almost didn't do this interview this morning. We had to get him to get up and do this one more time. He's been telling his story over and over again. He's just a man trying to do a good thing, and all of us got behind him and believed in the same cause, and it's caused him so much chaos you have no idea. He's been under scrutiny for this whole week, and hopefully the wrong intentions and the wrong actions from some of the few that are trying to make this thing look bad will be stopped. Okay, guys, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Have a wonderful day. Don't get in too much trouble. Keep a look around you and make sure that you're well aware of your surroundings. Keep your knees in the breeze, and please don't forget to wear your helmet. Talk soon.